Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to the channel. One of my goals as a young adult who's in his early to mid-20s is to be able to set a foundation for myself so I can eventually build and create the life that I would want to live later on. So one of these areas of where I'm working is through finances. So my goal is to be able to retire early and achieve financial independence before the age of 65. And to do that, I'm currently educating myself on financial literacy and studying how others have built their wealth in the past. So I was reading this article earlier talking about the 4 main paths to becoming a millionaire, and I wanted to share the 4 ways with you guys. So in this video, I'm going to discuss those 4 ways and rank them from easiest to hardest, as well as my own personal thoughts on what each of these paths mean. And make sure you watch till the end because I will be sharing what I think is the best path. I'll also link the article in the description below in case you want to go back to it, or just watch this video. So in order to build your wealth and net worth, there are basically 2 main ways to do so at the end of the day. The first one is to increase your income, and the second one is to lower your expenses. The first main path that this article discusses follows the latter path, which is the saver investor path. To follow the saver and investor path, you need to practice financial discipline because savers and investors will save at least 20% of their income each month and get started on investing early. Savers and investors know how to budget their monthly income and expenses and ensure that their expenses don't rise as much as their income. This phenomenon is known as the hedonic treadmill, or lifestyle inflation. As you increase your income, savers and investors won't use that money to support a more expensive lifestyle. Instead, they will use that money to invest into other assets, whether it be stocks, bonds, ETFs, index funds, real estate, etc. Following the saver investor path is probably the easiest because it doesn't require too much of an income. You can be making $50,000 a year or $200,000 a year, and anyone can still save and invest consistently over time. The second main path to becoming a millionaire and becoming financially independent is through the company climber path. So this is the type of American dream that we've been taught as kids. You go to a good school, you get good grades, you get a good job, climb the corporate ladder, and eventually maybe you become a senior executive. Company climbers are those who will spend a lot of their hours at work, whether they come in at 7 or 8 a.m. and leave at maybe 8 or 9 or even close to midnight. A lot of company climbers' compensation comes from not only the base, but potentially profit sharing or through stock compensation. Probably the biggest challenge that comes with a company climber is that it requires a lot of time investment, and you have to be good at networking because if you want to climb that ladder, you need the connections. So the third main path is basically an Asian parent's dream. This is where you spend years in school and study to become a doctor or lawyer, or basically any expert in your industry. This is called the virtuoso path. To follow this virtuoso path, obviously there's a lot of time spent studying to become the best in your field, but there's also a huge monetary investment involved. But you hope that all these years of studying and tuition money will eventually allow you to make a large income because of your expertise. The fourth main path to becoming a millionaire or achieving a high net worth is by becoming a dreamer. So when you think of dreamer, think of guys who are at the forefront of innovation and literally changing the world as we see it. That would include Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Bill Gates, anyone who took on huge risk working for years without any pay, basically, in order to hit this reward or whatever achievement that they were looking for. So it doesn't have to be just all these big entrepreneurs, but it can also include people who decided to pursue an acting career, for example. The point of this path is that it is the riskiest, and if you're someone who is risk averse like I am, maybe this path isn't for you. Because I kind of enjoy financial stability, and if you want to be a dreamer, you can say goodbye to that. I suggest that if you decide to become a dreamer, maybe you have some sort of reserves in place to sustain you in the time being, or maybe have your dream or passion as a side hustle before going full time. So now you understand the four main paths. Which one do I think is the best one? That was kind of a clickbait question because I actually don't think there is a best one, and it really depends on your preferences. First of all, I think you can actually take on multiple paths of this. For example, you can be a saver investor, but you could also be climbing the corporate ladder as a company climber. I think the first path requires just lowering your expenses, but being a company climber, being a virtuoso, or being a dreamer usually involves building your income somehow. As a young adult, I think it's important, first and foremost, to understand that time is our greatest asset in our financial journey. So if you're someone like me who's just starting out and has an entry-level job, I suggest saving a portion of your income, starting to save for retirement, building your financial literacy, and living frugally now before you hit 30, 40, 50 and realize that you want to enjoy the finer things in life. And you actually can, because during your 20s, you were actually disciplined enough to save enough money for that. As someone who only has a bachelor's and did not pursue any advanced degrees, I do not consider myself an expert by any means, and it'll take years of work experience before I actually become good at something. So my question for you is, which path would you take, or which paths would you take? Let me know in the comments below. And if you like this video, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more content related to building wealth and understanding how to just navigate adulthood in general, because that's something that I'm currently figuring out, and I created this YouTube channel to share some of my thoughts along the way, hoping that you guys can gain something from this. Until next time, as a saver and investor, instead of buying, as a saver and investor,